for me, Women's Council is about the relationships. I have lifelong friends from this organization. I could pick up the phone in any city I'm in and call someone, and they would be there in a heartbeat. Oh no, I never thought I would end up being a realtor. I actually started working in real estate when I was in high school. I was on the work program, so I would work 6 hours a day at a real estate office. I was the one that answered the phones. It was before we are where we are now, and so everyone would call me, and I was the appointment person. I actually think it was a good thing for me. I learned how to deal with different personalities, and I learned who I wanted to be and who I didn't want to be. And as it transitioned and my mom got out of the relocation and leads business and she started just being an active realtor, I transitioned into being her assistant, and that took on a new perspective. That's when I actually started falling in love with real estate and seeing dreams come a reality. I actually got my license in 2000, and at that time I had a newborn and decided that, you know, this is probably something that I could do. I could have it all. I could be the mom, I could be at home with him, and I could also help people with the biggest purchase they'll ever make in their life. So I started in Women's Council back in 1997. My mom came to me, and you know, a little backstory, she was a single mom. She had been a single mom for the majority of my life. And so she came to me as I was a senior in high school, and she said, hey, I'm gonna be president-elect of this Women's Council of Realtors and ultimately be president. And I was like, okay, that's not happening, because I never saw her as a leader. And I couldn't fathom her being the president of anything. I mean, not even PTA or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I gotta step up. I'm her assistant anyways. I've got to be there and do whatever I can for her. So I helped her and her president at that time, you know, just organizing an orientation, like teaching people about the organization. And so I, of course, had to learn everything about Women's Council at that time. So I jumped in with both feet. You know, it kind of catapulted me to where I am 20 years later, that here I am because I thought that she wasn't a leader. And what I learned in that process was that she was a leader all along. But even more importantly, she never knew she was a leader either, and she discovered it. And she's gone on to do wonderful things. I mean, she was a leader within Women's Council. She moved up the state level. She has opened her own brokerage. She's a leader all around, and neither of us knew it. It was this organization that brought that out on her. Oh, it is such an enlightening experience for my children. The day that it all hit is when I was installed as a local president in 2007, December 2007. I wanted my children to be a part of that. I did not want my my future daughter-in-laws to resent the fact that they were raised in a way that women couldn't be seen or heard. I wanted them to support women, my boys. And so I remember we had my installation at night. I had a kindergartner and a second grader at that time. And I did it in the evening on purpose because I wanted them to be there for it. It was typical for it to be luncheon, but I wanted my boys to be a part of this. And so I had Santa Claus come and all that because it needed to be special, and it's at Christmas time. And it was about 2 days later, I'm walking down the hall at my kids' school because I was also very involved in their PTA. And so I'm walking down the hall, and the kindergarten teacher stops me, and they have all their little like stockings and stuff hung up on the wall. And she said, I need you to help me understand what this means. And I was like, okay. And so she walked over to Caden's little thing, and she said he couldn't spell it, so I had to help him, but I just don't understand. What it was their favorite thing about Christmas. And his answer was my mom's inspiration. And so I stood there in the hall crying as I explained to the teacher that his favorite thing was exactly what I was wanting to impart in him. It meant the world to him. I'm sure it was because Santa Claus was there, but that was the beginning of me actually knowing I was making a difference in my children's lives. There have been high times in the council where membership has been great. Funds were not an issue. There have been low times where we've had to cut back on all kinds of things. And the role of the treasurer is being in tune to that, knowing what's happening not only within the council and our membership, but the marketplace. What's happening in real estate? Are we going to have another downfall in real estate that's going to affect us? And how do we prepare now when times are high for those times in a few years when it's not going to be that way? I have seen it all. I was actually local president when our market hit the tank. And luckily in Texas, it did not hit like the rest of the country. But it still affected us. It affected our membership. It affected the things we were able to do. But to think creative and think outside the box of ways that you can bring value to members that isn't necessarily monetary is kind of my forte. I like that, thinking outside the box. As a national officer, I want to continue to educate the public, not even just realtors, but the public, on the importance of choosing a realtor that's involved in the industry. My goal in real estate and life is to leave a lasting impact. And so if I can do that in real estate, if I can raise the bar of realtors, my goal is complete. Women's Council has made me a better person. It's made me a better mother. It's made me better in my business. It's made me do more business. It's made me stretch and grow in ways that I never thought possible. All these years, I feel like the council's given so much to me, and it's my time to give back to the council. I want to impart everything I've learned and more to the upcoming generation of leaders. I want to impart in them to carry on this journey, carry on the mission of Women's Council. I'm still here 20 years later because I believe in the organization. There's so many places I could put my time, effort, talent in, but I am passionate about Women's Council. And I have been since day one. I've been pulled in different directions. My local association wants me, but Women's Council is my passion. And I have to give back to the organization that has given so much to me. And not only to me, to my mentors, to my mom, to my family. I mean, my children have been raised in Women's Council, obviously, and they believe in the organization too.